EK article, saying that the mood towards Greece was changing since his left-wing party's sweeping election victory on Sunday. Tsipras said he would avoid antagonism with European Union and International Monetary Fund creditors. Our priority is also a new negotiation with our partners, seeking to reach a fair, viable, and mutually beneficial solution so that the country exits the vicious circle of excessive debt and recession, he said. AKA, good luck, Greek voters. I think you're going to learn an interesting lesson through this, which is that people can come into power promising to be your political savior, and they never will be. You're not going to find the answer through the ballot box, but this is a good learning experience, and I hope the Greek people will learn something from this. Either way, I think the EU is going down in a blaze of glory, which is a good thing, but it depends how it goes down and what they bring in or as the emergency backstop measure. And again, I'm thinking the proof is going to be in the pudding with this. So what's your second question, James?
The second question, I wonder if this is comparable in any way what we saw and what we reported on here in August of 2012 when we said Iceland was right. Is this a kind of good pushback from the people against austerity measures?
I think that probably the spirit behind it is good, and I think that a lot of the voters are probably thinking in the right way, but again, leaving it up in the hands of a political party that comes into power promising the moon and delivering nothing is not the way to go about this. So yes, the idea should really be repudiation of the debt that was really, just created by these gangsters in collusion with Goldman Sachs as part of a grand plan to get the Greece into the EU in the first place that fell apart spectacularly and is now plunging the Greek economy. So again, that's not going to happen by this, let's negotiate with our partners' happiness and, we didn't really mean we're going to get out of NATO and all the other backing off that they are bound to do as a result of all of this. Again, the answer is not going to come from this political party. But again, I think the spirit is right. I think the people have the right idea. Now they just have to start implementing that beyond the political process that's going on right now. And as I say, either way, I think this is going to end in kind of a blaze of glory economically speaking. We already see the Greek 10-year bond yields have gone up 50 basis points since Syriza took power, and we've seen the main Athens stock index drop 4%. Clearly, either way, the vulture capitalists who want to profit and eat off the corpse of Greece are not going to let this work, even if this was meant to be a good thing. And then the other side of this is now they're running to China, they're running to Russia, trying to, strengthen diplomatic relations, which I think, again, just plays into the bigger global government framework of, we're against the bad Western globalists, we're in bed with the nice Eastern globalists, yay, and I think ultimately, again, this is just part of a much, much bigger game that maybe they're honest dupes in, but I still think that makes them dupes.
And they're making great cosmetic moves. We'll also include a pretty recent article on Zero Hedge. The barricades are down. They note Syriza already rolling back austerity reforms, and they've literally physically removed the barricades from in front of the Greek parliament that have been there for almost probably 4+ years now. So again, at least cosmetically and visually, you look at it and go, we've opened up. Your government is now turned back over to you. So, James, our third and final story this week, I think, can still be filed under our ongoing effort to bring you some type of good news next week on these New World Next Week episodes. Fatal peanut allergies could be history. This via The Telegraph. A strain of probiotic bacteria could offer a cure for potentially fatal peanut allergies, according to scientists in Australia. The breakthrough followed a trial in which a group of kids were given increasing amounts of peanut flour along with a probiotic called Lactobacillus rhamnosus over an 18-month period. About 80% of the kids who had peanut allergies were subsequently able to tolerate peanuts. Mimi Tang, the lead researcher, said the families involved believed the treatments had changed their lives. These findings provide the first vital step towards developing a cure for peanut allergy and possibly for all food allergies, she told the Melbourne's Herald Sun, and perhaps a bit of hyperbole. The randomized trial involving a group of about 30 kids was conducted by the Murdoch Children's Research Institute in Melbourne. And as soon as I heard that name, I wondered. And of course, yes, it is connected to Mr. Rupert Murdoch. It's run by his mom's hospital there in Australia. The children aged 1 to 10 were given, as we noted, small amounts of peanut flour, and they kind of raised it up more and more and more. Along with that, the dose of Lactobacillus rhamnosus, which is found in yogurt, but was given in quantities equivalent to the amount found in 44 pounds of yogurt. Rates of peanut allergies, James, have dramatically increased in the past 2 decades, particularly in developed countries. And for most folks, the condition is lifelong. So my other question to you, James, did you know anybody with a peanut allergy when you were in school?
I really, not when I was growing up, but I do now. So yes, I mean, that's the point. It has really blossomed, bloomed, whatever you want to say, grown like a cancer on society. And the question is why in the last couple of decades?
That is the question, and I guess for me, that's why you might file this under maybe a not unmitigated good news story, because again, maybe doesn't get at the heart of why are these things happening?
Yeah.
Why the changes of the products and the chemicals and the things that we've been using over these last couple of decades? Why are they causing these things, rather than just go, oh, well, we found this magic pill and you'll just take this thing to deal with this other problem that's caused by some other source that we don't really look at. So it's an interesting area. And again, I never knew anybody with a peanut allergy when I was in school. It seemed like something I only saw on TV, later in building up in the 90s, I guess.
Yeah. Well, whatever the case may be, for the people who suffer from this would be obviously a huge breakthrough. So let's hope that it is at least true that there is this, if not cure, at least maybe it can work on 80% of cases or so. Let's hope so, because honestly, this is a horrific and debilitating condition for people who have it. So hopefully some progress can be made with this. But again, let's temper this, because a lot of reporting on these types of things gets blown out of proportion to what the studies actually indicate and where they are in the progress. And I was just looking at the headlines reporting this story. It was interesting to see the range of ways in which the headlines were phrased, from the tabloid press, peanut allergies cured for good, to the more subdued press saying, well, a trial indicates 80% of people might be able to get away from their symptoms. So, I mean, again, let's take this with a huge grain of salt. And on that note, I'll throw in a link to the very humorous, humorous and sobering article from fastcompany.com, why a fake article titled "Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs" was accepted by 17 medical journals. And the first line of this article: "In an intention dependent on questions on elsewhere, we betrayed possible jointure in throwing cocoa." They literally threw this into a word randomizer, and it was accepted by 17 medical journals. Let's put a bit of healthy skepticism into this process in general, and I'll believe it when I see it.
So there's one more that we'll file under good news next week. There's an incredible edible park that feeds allegedly hundreds of thousands. I've just kind of learned about this, and I've been checking it out. It's the Incredible Edible Farm in Irvine, California, James. And again, I think that's really kind of the wave of the future in a lot of these ways that we talk about the decentralization. And can you imagine if there was a massive, incredible edible farm in every town and city that could feed thousands, if not hundreds of thousands? So I would just note, James, there are a ton of other stories going on and kind of heating up in the media and in the alternative media. The vaccine wars, the death of the Saudi king, and drunk spook drones crashing on the White House. And you can follow all those stories and more, or submit your own story using hashtag #NewWorldNextWeek on Twitter. And that's how we get a lot of these great stories, James.
Speaking of the death of the Saudi king and the future of oil geopolitics, that's exactly what I'm writing on for the International Forecaster this weekend. So, of course, you can subscribe to the Forecaster or to CorbettReport.com for that. James, as always, wonderful job rounding up these stories. Thank you, and looking forward to it next week.
Thanks, man. Take care.